it's Liz. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about things I wish I knew before I went to nurse practitioner school. Somebody had requested I make a video about it, so I figured I would do that next up in the lineup. And if any of you have any videos that you want me to make on the topic of NP school, being a mom, anything that I've ever talked about, just let me know and I would be more than happy to make one. And I just want to kind of say before we get into all this that I am glad I went to NP school. I in no way am sad or wishing I could go back and change what I did, but there are certain things that would be good to think about before you're going into it that I didn't necessarily do. I kind of just jumped into it. Some of my friends were applying. I was like, yeah, let's do this, without really thinking through the ramifications of my actions. So first we're gonna go over some general things I wish I had known, and then at the end I'll give you some tips on things that really helped me succeed that I didn't find out until much later on that it would be great to know right when you start. All right, so first of all, the general things. You're gonna wanna talk to your family. Now this seems very obvious, but I'm dumb. You're gonna wanna, if you're married, you're gonna wanna have a really serious conversation with your spouse. This is going to suck your life away. This is an intense educational process. So whether it's full-time at 2 years, part-time at 3 years, it's your life really for that whole time. So a lot of people are still working throughout this program. So if you're not at work, you're doing school. And if you're not at school, you're at clinical. And if you're not at clinical, you're doing homework. And it is one of those things where it's like you're never done. I'm sure a lot of you know it was like this in nursing school where it's just like there's always more you could be doing and your peers are doing it, so you want to keep up, so you're going to do it, and you have to learn this stuff. So it's just a huge time commitment. You're going to miss holidays, you're going to miss family events, you're not going to see your friends very often. It's going to be stressful. You want to be in kind of a good place in your life before you enter. Somebody jokingly, kind of not jokingly, before I got into the program was like, oh, you're in that one? Like, that program is what got me my divorce. And I was like, oh my gosh. And now I get it. Like, it has taken a lot away from quality time Joe and I used to have. But again, I'm not regretting going into it. I just didn't think beforehand how much this was going to take out of my life. Absolutely, I think it's going to be worth it, but it stinks in the meantime. There's a lot of things that are stressful about NP school, like finding a clinical placement. Whether you are finding your own or the school is finding them for you, this is something that it didn't occur to me that this would be stressful. It's stressful, you just gotta let it go. That's another thing I just wish I had known before, was like the whole just like let it go, it's gonna be fine attitude is one that you are gonna need to adapt, because things are just gonna happen and you just need to be able to take a deep breath and be like, it's okay, it's no big deal, I'm gonna get through this. And you will get through it and it will be fine, but it's just gonna require a lot of deep breaths and exhales, because something I didn't realize until a decent chunk into this thing was like, stressing isn't gonna get me anything except high blood pressure and like zits. So just don't stress as much. Try not to stress. Just Hakuna Matata, people. Hakuna Matata. Another thing before you go to become an NP is don't go to become an NP if you just don't want to do as much charting. And in my head, I was like, ooh, I'll become an NP and then I won't spend all my time charting, because I became a nurse to like talk to people and actually converse with them and like have meaning in their life and help them. I'll be able to do that as a primary care provider. No, you're sitting in front of a computer the whole time. Like, who went to the doctor's office lately and their person's just sitting there frantically typing the note? You chart more than you do when you're a nurse. So don't go into it thinking you're gonna go like have these great bonding heart-to-heart therapeutic communications with these people. No, you're gonna be sitting there through a screen where you're gonna be horribly behind. Heads up on that one. The next one, I feel like nursing school, I don't know what it is, but they like set out like with the mentality of like, I'm going to scare you and overwhelm you and make you want to run home and sit in the corner of your apartment and sob in a ball. And they all do it. My undergrad did it, and now my grad school did it. They come at you with like all these like, this is going to be the hardest time of your life and you're dumb. And you believe it, because most nurses are like type A and they're like, I hate this. They don't like being criticized. They like everything like they're ducks in a row. And I mean, I feel like nursing school, they're just so mean. Like, why are they so mean? Oh, but anyway, that happens at grad school too. Just a heads up. So you just have to like keep reminding yourself, you can do this. It is overwhelming. Don't look super far ahead, because there is a ton that you're going to be doing in your program. Baby steps, just like eat an elephant one bite at a time. That whole saying, just ingrain that in your noggin. Just one bite at a time, people. And you got this. You will get there. There's a lot of writing in NP school that I didn't think really about. One of the biggest surprises that kind of caught me off guard was they don't really teach you a lot in NP school. They guide you to what they would like you to know. And then they say, here's kind of what your objectives of what you would like you to learn. And here's 50 articles about it. Go read them. And you're like, oh, okay. There's been a couple lectures that are guided, but mostly it's kind of like you, and I was not expecting that. So you were going to read a lot if you want to learn, and if you want to pass your classes, you got to learn. So, not to mention be a good provider. So that's just something, it's going to take a long time. And if you're like someone who, I'm not the fastest reader because I get distracted. My brain goes 8 million directions. So reading takes me forever when I'm trying to learn, and then I want to take notes to really absorb it. So just think about that. That's going to take a huge amount of time, which leads me to my next point is find friends. Find people that look like they're reliable, smart, friendly people that you might jive with and be their friend, get their phone numbers, divvy up the reading and the notes, and then go from there. So that way, instead of reading 7 chapters a week, you're reading 1 and you're taking notes on it, and then you all swap notes. Awesome plan. Didn't figure that one out until well over halfway into my program, and that just makes me sad. Another thing regarding work. So most people are working when they're in this program. You're gonna need to at some point either really cut back on your hours or go to days if you're on nights. Do something because your clinical hours are going to become extensive. So just kind of know in the back of your mind, hey, am I eventually going to be able to go to days if you work nights? Or am I eventually going to be able to drop down in hours? I think that's just something to keep in the back of your mind, financially kind of plan for that, and know if your job's gonna be flexible and let you do that. There is also a lot of responsibility, which again, should have occurred to me. You're being someone's healthcare provider now. And you're kind of used to as a nurse being able to identify the problem, and you're like, hey, red flags. And in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm pretty sure I know how to fix this, but that's not call isn't on you. So it's a big shift to kind of go from that to now that call is on you, and you're the one they're coming to, and they're like, here's all this awful things that are happening to this person. What do you want to do? And that's on you. That decision, how that patient turns out, everything is on you. So just something to think about. Do you want that responsibility? Do you like responsibility like that? Are you someone who's just kind of likes being the person who's like, I think I'm going to hand that to you? And one last general thing is, and this is not across the board. This is just, don't go into this thinking you're gonna change the lives of absolutely everyone. I would say 80% of the people you encounter in a day do not care even a little bit what you have to say. Whether that's because they can't afford the treatment that they really need, they are working so hard 7 days a week, 2 jobs, that they don't have time to do things, or they are smoking because that's better than doing drugs, or for whatever reason, people have such complicated situations, and a couple people are just I don't care what you have to say. But for the most part, people, their lives are in such states that they don't have time to take care of themselves properly, so they don't care when you're sitting there trying to change their lives and talk about smoking cessation. They're not worried about that. They're more worried about how they're gonna pay their water bill or their electricity bill, and they're not really listening. So that's just something to keep in mind. I went in there thinking I'm gonna change the lives of all these people, and I'm gonna be able to talk them into exercising and this and this. No, most of the time not. Absolutely, I still try, but you're not gonna change everyone's world, but you will change a couple worlds, which is really cool. And now just some general tips, things I wish I knew before nursing school to help you academically and to help you succeed in your program. You're gonna wanna get some kind of app that's gonna help you when you're in practice. Figure out the evidence-based guidelines that are gonna help you when you're in clinical, or give you research to back up your treatment plans. Hippocrates, the student version, you can get that for a discounted rate. I think it's $50. They have a lot of guidelines for treatment plans, as well as you may be able to get up to date through your employer for free. And that is awesome, because then you can see it links to all the articles that back up the latest evidence-based information on the treatment guidelines. So that's a great one. You're gonna wanna learn to quickly skim journal articles, and really how you do that is you read the abstract to see what on earth this thing is about, and then you go to the discussions and the result and you look over those real quick and it tells you what the result is. Unless you're in your like statistics class or your theory class where you're really trying to learn, was this study done well, blah, blah, blah. Like for school purposes, if they're giving you a journal article in school, you can probably assume that it's a decent article and you're not assessing the validity of it, you're just trying to learn the content. So go to the beginning, go to the end, bam, don't read the middle. That'll waste your time. YouTube is an awesome teacher. So for everything that you don't know, since you don't always get lectures on everything, someone on YouTube knows the answer. Khan Academy is a great one. There's an awesome EKG series that I'll link down below that got me through my EKG portion of my didactic. There are so many things. If you just Google, like, what is this? Somebody probably did a lecture on it. You can watch it. It's free and it's great. And they explain things so well. You guys, there's so many smart people out there. Just YouTube it. And Pinterest. I didn't discover that till this semester and I am so upset. If you go on Pinterest and you look up study sheets or even something like diabetic study guide, something like that, it'll come up with, people make all these super creative study sheets and charts that are great for like reference tools for you and to study off of. Again, free, and people who have awesome creative brains did this, and all you have to go do is go and grab it. Another one, keep your books. I feel like no one told me that you should keep some of your books, like your patho you'll probably want to keep, and then your just general assessment and books like that, that you might want to look back on later, because your other teachers later on in the program are probably going to use those books again that you've now sold and bought a new couch with. Oops. All right, so my very last thing that I wish I would have known at the beginning of my program or before it is don't panic. Everything is going to work out. Deep breaths. You can do this. You will do great. You'll come out on the other end. I am living proof of, well, not yet, but hopefully I'll be living proof of that soon. You'll be fine. Like, you really will. Just try to take deep breaths. It is chaos, but you can do it and you will do great. All right, so if you guys have any other questions, or if you have gone through NP school and have any tips that I didn't mention, things you wish you knew, leave them in the comments below. If you have any other video ideas that you want me to do on the topic of NP school, let me know that too. I'd be happy to make one. And thanks for hanging out and watching. We will see you next time. Bye.